With the Chief Minister on our Friday briefing, and people who think about standing for the next election, apart from the by-elections about to take place, are about to be under some new rules. And this goes back to Douglas East by-election, when there was one candidate who had a lot of bunting up, a lot of signs, and everything else went with it. I think I don't know if we want to deal with that, but I think everyone knows what I'm talking about here.
Yes.
That caused concern.
That really was the start of it. I think, and we know what the ultimate consequences of all that was, which I don't want to comment on now, but it certainly generated a lot of political concern and widespread comment outside of government circles. We've listened to all that and share those concerns, and believe we need to bring in a system now which is more transparent, where we can, as best we can, level the playing field to a certain extent in terms of the amount of money each individual candidate can spend on their campaign, so that in effect some elections can be bought with an overwhelming amount of financial muscle being applied to the campaign.
Do you think elections can be bought, though?
I don't think so, but there is often in politics perception is more damaging than the reality, and perception is very important. This is a first step, at least, towards trying to improve the level of transparency to reassure people that there is a fair and equitable system in place. It limits the amount of expenditure that anyone candidate can spend on his campaign. They have to declare where donations come from. And the purpose of the announcement today is that this new piece of legislation comes in on the 23rd of September.
That's exactly a year before the election, isn't it?
It's exactly a year before the election, which is what the legislation says. And so prospective candidates will have to keep a note of their expenditure, which might be related to the election from that date, alongside any donations that they might receive, to identify the source.
It's going to be interesting to see if anyone comes out to announce before that date, but
well, they probably won't. And I'm being quite honest. This is the first time we've applied this. It's based very much on the experience in Jersey and the Jersey legislation, and there may well be some glitches in the system before all this exercise is finished. And after the election, of course, we will review the whole situation to see whether we improve it, whether we can improve it. But it is a legitimate and genuine attempt to try and respond to public concern, to provide a more transparent and balanced approach to the election process.
Any idea what people do spend on their election campaigns?
Some
people have lots of signs up and banners and whatever. Others don't.
And also, you know, if you look at the manifestos, I mean, some of them are mini books. Yes. In effect, that people put. Others will put out a single sheet.
Also, the printers do the best out of elections, don't they?
They do extremely well out of it. But it's down to every candidate what they want to include in their campaign, the level of activity they want. You know, it varies from candidate to candidate. For example, how many people go around and knock on doors? Some are very assiduous and will do their best to knock on every door in the constituents. Others little more than tokens. So every candidate has their own approach to how a campaign should function. No
reference to social media such, because I suppose it's just unpoliceable, is it? I mean,
I think so. I mean,
and that's for free, isn't it? I suppose.
I don't think there's any reference specific to social media in there, and potentially what those the value of that might be in this context. But if we find there is an issue developing out of that, then clearly this will be another area we will look at after election to see if we can rectify the situation.
So if I offer you a £50 note, or more, just over 50, is £50, isn't it? Yes, £50, you would have to keep a record of that and maybe declare it if someone calls...
Yes, anything over £50 would need to be a record kept of it, and just for assessment at the end that these rules haven't been broken.
Will this make better government?
Better government?
Well, by better, you know, the politicians who are standing.
Better government depends on the quality of the candidates who stand in the first place.
That's what I meant.
Whether this will make better candidates coming out remains to be seen. What I hope it will do will make a more transparent and balanced approach to the election campaigns. Which candidates come out, obviously, are down to the individuals. Which candidates are elected are still in the hands of the voters. And it's for the voters to decide who they believe will make the best government. not this piece of legislation.